So we have a theme every month, and this month's theme is faith. And when I read the affirmation, which is, I have faith, I use faith, and I prove it, the next thing that came into my mind was, tell the truth about your faith, Theresa. So that's how the title came. Tell the truth about our faith. I believe that we all have faith. It's just, what do we have faith in? And our thoughts are a clear indication of what we have faith in. If we're thinking good thoughts, if we're thinking of all the possibilities of things that could happen in the light of God, then we have faith in the way that we understand faith. We have faith. It's called understanding faith. But if our faith is in something that we're afraid of, or I should say if our thoughts are about what we're afraid of, that's what we're having faith in. So it comes back to, what are we thinking? As said in Matthew 17:20-21, truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. So do you feel like you have that kind of faith? That you can say, move, mountain, and it will move. Get behind me, problem. Get behind me thinking of this problem in a way that I don't think I can resolve it, or that maybe that God is not here with me, even though I see it as a problem. Faith is being able to see these problems, to see these situations as gifts, because it is through these gifts, how we handle them, that's how we transform. That's how we see what our faith is. That's how we shine our light as children of God. In Power Up by Paul Hasselbeck, this is the book that we used in school to study the 12 powers. He describes our underdeveloped faith and our overdeveloped faith come from our ego, or our personality. Ego is edging God out. Underdeveloped faith results in distrust, doubt, misgiving, skepticism, suspicion, or simply an overall inability to believe. Overdeveloped faith results from being narrow-minded and dogmatic in our thinking. But when we move from our ego to our elevated consciousness, to our Christ consciousness, faith is the ability to believe, intuit, perceive, and to have conviction based on truth principles and laws that are divine in nature. We use faith to be the best person and or the best Christ that we can be, regardless of outer appearances. So I have a question. Who here believes that if you plant an apple seed, you will get an apple tree? Right? Which will give us lots of apples, right? Okay. So if I told you to visualize an abundant flow of prosperity flowing from your innate awareness of an aspect of oneness, of being, from divine substance, can you believe you would actually see and manifest whatever prosperity that you want? Do you really believe that? Do you have faith in that? I know I don't sometimes. It's much easier for me to believe that if I plant an apple seed, I will get many, many, many apples from it. Why I think that substance isn't in me or for me, I don't know. I've been practicing this for a long time, and I still have days of not knowing this kind of faith. And I think that it's easy to believe this because I have seen a tree grow. I have seen the apples that come from a tree. But I have not yet seen the prosperity that I dream about. Although I have to say, I've had my own business for 30 years. And month after month, year after year, I've had the business that I've needed to live the life that I have right now, which is a wonderful, beautiful life. But I still find myself afraid sometimes. Afraid, like, where's the next client coming from? You know, it's so interesting that I still go down that path. But it's actually because we have seen it. We have seen the tree grow versus actually experience it sometimes. And even now, I just admitted I've experienced it, but yet I still sometimes don't believe it. Believing even when you don't see, that is faith. Faith is a powerful essence that we can grow or change so it serves us in a positive way. And there's a faith ladder. The first rung on the faith ladder is hope. Now, hope provides a stimulus to keep people moving toward understanding faith. Hope is real, it's powerful, and there's no such thing as false hope. There's such a thing as lies and wishful thinking, but not false hope. The only issue with hope is when we work from this level, we tend to live in a fearful state, concerned that it may or may not happen. The next rung on the ladder is blind faith. And in blind faith, we know wherever we are, God is, and all is well. We believe things will work out and is higher than hope on the continuum because it's based in truth. And then the highest level of faith is understanding faith. This is where we know and understand that there are spiritual laws as immutable as physical laws. This is where we know when we're in a situation that we really don't like, that really feels uncomfortable, that we have faith that it's all going to be okay, that we are going to survive, and some good is going to come out of it. There's a lesson here. There's something for us to learn. Now, I talk a lot about purpose, our purpose in life. We all want to know our lives matter and our presence on this earth has meaning and purpose. Like the kind of purpose like when I'm taking my last breath, I think of my life and say, I did what I came here to do. And I ask you, do you feel that way? Do you feel that way in your day? Being on purpose comes from being authentic, from being true to yourself, and it takes courage. And many times, conformity takes precedence. Now, for me, conformity happens as soon as I walk into a room with 5 of my siblings, even 3 of my siblings. I could do one-on-one and be authentic. But as soon as I walk in a room with more than one of them, I'm not Theresa. If you guys probably wouldn't even recognize me, actually. But it's so funny because I just crawl back into my little hole, you know. But we each have the power to be an amazing light that we were created to be. And that's what our spiritual journey is all about. Sometimes people think being on a spiritual journey, we're not going to go through tough stuff. But sorry, that's not the case. The truth is when we are consciously taking a spiritual journey, we're using spiritual principles and we're applying them in our life. And when hard times come, we transform because we're using those principles. The truth of who we are is revealed more through hard times. Life doesn't happen to us. It happens through us and for us. What does that have to do with faith? Well, everything. In Hebrew 11:1, it says, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. The conviction of things not seen. Yeah, the apple tree. Sure, I could have faith that the apple tree is going to grow. I've seen apple trees grow with lots of apples, right? The faith comes from not seeing it and knowing it and trusting it. When we are full of faith that Jesus saw in Peter when he said, who do you say I am? And Peter replied, you are the Messiah. Now, Messiah is the Christ, Son of the living God. Jesus replied, blessed are you, Simon Peter. His name was Simon, and then he ended up changing it to Peter. For this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood. It was not revealed to you by what you saw, but by my Father in heaven, by your Christ consciousness. And that's why the power of faith is based on, or Peter is the apostle for the power of faith in the 12 powers, because he had that kind of faith without seeing it. And the other apostles could not answer the way Peter answered the question. And this is how and where our faith gets us through our life. We're lifted up by Spirit. We're lifted up by the consciousness of knowing that God is within each and every one of us. This is our gift. This is what allows us to shine our light, that light that we all have within us, and how we come through the tough times. We are each called by life to give who and what we are into service of the whole, into fulfillment of our own soul. And everything we need for any task is already here. We already have it. It's within each and every one of us. You are called to be you, fully and freely, to give your gifts and talents to humanity, to support others and to have your fulfillment there. You're going to do it uniquely from your soul, from your mind, from your heart. And sometimes it may feel uncomfortable or that nobody gets you, nobody sees you. But sometimes it is hard to show up as our authentic self. I know. That's my experience. But what keeps us there? What keeps us from showing up? Fear, judgment, rejection. So we edit and we conform so we don't have to show up. We use an armor to protect ourselves from criticism, but that armor also keeps our heart from going out. It also keeps us from using our soul. So it's a spiritual journey to deliver the authentic who and what you are. Joseph Campbell wrote about the hero's journey, right? It's a story that has been told forever about his journey of life, the journey of life that we're all on. Someone that is called to greatness and faces obstacles after resistance, but perseveres and overcomes and brings a gift back into this world. The reason this story is told over and over again is because it's the truth about you and me and everyone. The truth of your soul and your life, that you are here to give something that cannot come from anybody else, cannot come from anywhere else. It's yours. Every soul is a unique expression, and that is not by accident. Andrea, the other night in A Course of Love, got so excited. She was looking at each of us saying, "You are God, and you are God, and you are God." And it was so cool. Because we are all here to shine that light of God. We are all here on a holy purpose, and all that purpose is to be the best you can be. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "The fact that I am here shows me the soul needed an organ. Shall I not assume the post?" Often we don't. Often we hide, and we deflect, and we armor. So I encourage you to see what is calling you. What did God create you to be? And are you sharing that authentic gift? Have faith to show up in a greater, more powerful way. And of course, I'm saying this so I hear it and I do it the next time I am with my family. When we show up in greatness of our own being, we transform the world. We heal ourselves, and we are part of the active evolution of spirit in humanity. That is what the unique gift of you can do. So in the hero's journey, we start in the ordinary world, right? We're tending to our human lives. In Buddhism, it says, chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. That's what we do. We go through our day. Regular, tending to tasks, to be functional in the world. Everything is normal. Everything is good. Then the call comes, the invitation. Something happens. And it can be guised as a breakup, a diagnosis, an accident, a tragic event. And actually, it doesn't have to be that, but that's generally when we wake up. When something that shocking happens. We're being asked to be more than we have been, to go somewhere, to take a step, to go outside the mundane. We know the life we are living is not using enough of me, enough of you. We saw it. We saw it in Hurricane Sandy. We saw it during the pandemic. We saw it in 9/11. We see it all the time when tragic things happen, how people show up in a very different way than most of us show up in our daily lives. But this showing up isn't supposed to be a one-time event, right? It doesn't have to be a tragic event. We have opportunities all the time, like maybe sitting in traffic, like me yesterday, coming home from this wedding. It was unbelievable. It took me an hour and a half to get home. Or standing in line at a grocery store. You know, I heard something this week that says, we're all in such a hurry, right? We're in a hurry. The only thing we should be in a hurry for is finding the truth. I was like, everybody should be in a hurry to come to Unity on Sunday morning. I was on the highway this morning, and people were driving so fast. I was talking to my sister on the phone. I'm like, they must all be in a hurry to get to church today. So anyway, the next step is the transformation, the challenge, the adversaries. The death of what was. The old way of being is over. In the story of the prodigal son, the transformation came when he had to eat with the pigs that he was paid to feed. There was a death and a resurrection. Today it may be something very different. Something new shows up. When on the spiritual journey, it is a deeper awareness of God within us. And then the final chapter of the hero's journey, we come back to regular life, paying bills, going day to day, chop wood, carry water. But now we have a new sense of self, a new sense of purpose. We understand life in a different way. There is more meaning and importance in what we are bringing. We understand who and what we are in a different way. And we have changed because our faith has changed. We came through and we used our spiritual practices to make that change. And it's a beautiful journey. In James 2:17, it says, faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. This is the works. When we go through these events and we tap into that part of ourself that knows God, that knows our Christ consciousness. This is what traffic events do for us. These are the little things, so that as we practice these little things, as we practice standing in line, as we practice being patient with cashiers that don't know how to count back change. Can you tell that's one of my things? How could you not know how to count back change? Anyway, being called into the world we know about nothing, that we do not understand, but trusting that there is a spiritual reality that will never fail us. A spiritual reality that will never fail us. Many of you have probably heard the story about the man and the flood. And he said, God, save me. There's a flood coming. And so someone came with a life jacket. And he says, no, God's going to save me. Next guy came with a boat. He says, no, God's going to save me. He had to get on the roof of his house. The flood was so high and a helicopter came. He said, no, God's going to save me. Well, the guy died. He got up to heaven and he says, God, what happened? He says, I sent you a life jacket, a boat, and a helicopter. Where did you think? And my point in that story is we never know how God's going to show up. We never know what it's going to look like. So to stay open to the possibility of what God looks like in our lives. Where does your greatness come from? And there's an inner and outer component of greatness. The inner is all the ways we have been gifted. And the external component is the time and the condition in which we find ourselves and how it shapes us. Something that is going on right now that is needed in our world for us to use our talents and our gifts right here, right now. You are the one. You are the chosen one to transform. Everything in life is conspiring for our good. Everything is conspiring for our good. For your authentic discovery and delivery of yourself. Myrtle Fillmore said, God is the only reality of us. All else is but a shadow cast by some foolish belief or unwise combination of thoughts and the elements of being. When we let light flood us with its sunshine, all clouds vanish and we begin to see ourselves in new ways of doing, which lead to wholesome and health and satisfaction and growth. The opportunity to open to the spiritual light of awareness often comes from the very thing that we didn't want. The thing that we feared the most. I decided when I read that, when I wrote it and read it and wrote it and read it again, I said, okay, Theresa, get and check your fear. Stop. At that moment, what we do, we believe about God and who we are. That is the crucible of our transformation. Now, when these things happen and tragedy strikes, we often have three ways of approaching it. One, we want to figure it out, manage it, the details from our ego. Meanwhile, we're edging God out. The second way is we can deny it's happening. Have you ever heard, oh, it's all good, it's all good. Yeah, that's a spiritual bypass, okay? Just so you know. Or we bring our spiritual principles and open heart fully to it. This will bring transformation. I don't know what your struggle is, but this is what I know, that if you can rise above and be a better version of you before it happened, you have the unique gifts to overcome this if you're willing to show up, stand up, and open up. Open your heart with your possibility mind instead of your victim mind, and wait and see what will happen. So to summarize, my message is always the same, every Sunday, over and over again. This week we brought faith in as the tool. But the message is, you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You are more than you know yourself to be. I know this, and I don't buy your BS. I don't buy your belief system. And your light is needed now. This is the second part. Your light is needed now. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. This is the space for you now. And the third, it is a lot more fun to shine our light together in the world. If you don't know what it is that you want to do or how you want to serve, start here. See if there's something here that you can do and serve to start shining your light. There are plenty of opportunities. Thank you. I'm your sister in prayer, possibility, and power. Know that I love you, I appreciate you, and I see you. And until we see each other again, know that you're blessed and a blessing.